You know? If she was all fat and bloated and out of shape, she wouldn't take her shirt off, man. She got the cameras right on her damn titties. She wanted to get the attention with them breasts, man. And then spew out her bullshit that she learned from this cracker. All right? But going back to the Queen of Sheba, known as the Arabs refer to as Belisk, I believe I'm pronouncing it right. Also, some scholars say that her name was Makeda. All right? But anyway, she was known for a thing called, you heard of polygamy, right? Well, the female version of that name is a term called polyandry. Polyandry. Polygamy is when a man has more than one woman. He might have 5 or 6 women. All right? Polyandry is when a woman has more than one man. She might have 5 or 6 men or 500 men. Well, when you go deep into the history of Makeda or the Queen of Sheba, there's records that state that, and I have it, but I don't have to pull it up. You know, I have it. You might see it in post-production. But she was known for laying with a bunch of different men because her kingdom the predominance was through women. You heard what that woman said about that they fought in the wars and they had the military and all that. That's back when them Hamites was weak as hell, man. Okay? So I just wanted to show that to you. We don't have to go further into that because she ain't doing nothing but talking shit out of a goddamn mouth. But anyway, she was down there to protest Christopher Columbus and the 1%. Anyway, let's go to the next one. And then we're going to go to the scriptures. You know what you do? Just turn it off, put it back on, and just go down to the next one. Okay.
This is 1 Timothy 1 and 4. Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith, so do.
Yeah, because that whole thing with the Queen of Sheba and Solomon having sex, that was a fable. That was a fable, all right? As soon as you got it, let me know. Going to the second one. Okay, go ahead.
Thousands of indigenous people took to the streets across Latin America last week to protest the anniversary of Christopher Columbus's discovery of the Americas in 1492. Columbus Day is celebrated as the Day of Hispanic Heritage in Latin America, but protesters mark the holiday this year as a reminder of the atrocities Spanish conquistadors wrought on indigenous people throughout the region. Protesters were marching on what they called the Day of Dignity and Resistance of the Indian people. Protest leader Juana Malul told Agence France Presse the movement, quote, is purely in defense of Mother Earth and our territory. In southwestern Colombia, some 25,000 people set out from several towns and cities in Valle de Cauca department to protest President Alvaro Uribe's environmental policies and his alleged broken promises to their communities. In Venezuela, during an extraordinary session held at the National Pantheon, the Venezuelan National Assembly passed a bill proposing a, quote, Day of Indigenous Resistance to be held throughout South America. And in Panama, a group of indigenous people kept the Panama-Costa Rican border closed for several hours in the morning at the Cisalo border crossing and later protested in front of the Spanish embassy. Protester Cecilio Guerra said, quote, the arrival of the Spaniards in the Americas in 1492 brought about the destruction of the Indian way of life and broke a series of political and economic institutions that has since driven us into poverty.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
Americans have been marking the anniversary of the European discovery of the New World by the explorer Christopher Columbus, but some say the annual Columbus Day holiday is equal to celebrating the Holocaust, as his arrival on the continent in 1492 was followed by what they describe as the genocide of Native Americans. Investigative journalist and RT contributor Wayne Madsen shares that opinion as well, and he's with RT's Priya Srida, sorry about that, in our Washington studio. Get your name the right way. Take it away, chaps.
Hi there, Kevin. So for many people here in the United States, Columbus Day means a day off from work and big shopping sales at the mall. But what about the Native Americans? Many people say this holiday helps celebrate colonialism, imperialism, and racism. And joining me to help talk about it is RT contributor and investigative journalist Wayne Madsen. Wayne, thanks so much for joining me. So first of all, the United States always prides itself on being an open and accepting country. How do you think that Columbus Day is an opposite of those values?
Well, when we think about celebrating Columbus Day, and it's a peculiar holiday, we don't have a holiday in this nation for the Native Americans. We don't celebrate their rich culture, their contributions to America. But we have Columbus Day. Columbus basically ushered forth in the Western Hemisphere what the Native American Museum describes here in Washington as a Holocaust that cost the lives of 65 million Native Americans and the systematic destruction of 500 native nations from the Arctic Circle all the way down to Tierra del Fuego in South America. So many teachers and public schools now in this country are now giving a balanced view of Columbus, saying that he's not to be put on a pedestal as some sort of mythical or even a fairy tale figure, but in fact he was a colonialist, he was an imperialist, and we also know that after Columbus we saw terrible things done to the Native Americans, from contaminating blankets with smallpox, skinning Indians alive. Andrew Jackson, the later President of the United States, his Indian fighters would skin Indians and make pants from the waist down of Indian skin. So this is what we're essentially celebrating when we celebrate Columbus. And Native Americans and other people in this country are very much opposed to this celebration of this holiday.
Gad's skin, I'll put it down,
let's fast forward
and make pants out of it. What kind of? But this man's not the devil. He's not the devil. Go ahead, brother.
to 2009. Are there still policies here in the United States that kind of promote the mistreatment of Native Americans? And what about popular culture? How are Native Americans viewed today in the United States?
Well, it's everything from sports teams with racist names to Indian casinos on Native American reservations. We see the Washington Redskins, for example, which is a totally racist appellation. The Cleveland Indians, a baseball team, uses a caricature of a Native American with buck teeth, a very racist symbol. So we have that. We have Jack Abramoff, the GOP lobbyist, who basically schnookered and scammed Indians in these casino deals. And we have his emails where he refers to Indians as troglodytes, monkeys, and morons, and even worse names. So this is what this institutionalized racism against Native Americans still exists today. And when we talk about a guy like Abramoff, it exists high up in the political structures in the nation's capital. I would note that the District of Columbia is named after Columbus. So we even have District of Columbia, Columbus, Ohio, Columbia, South Carolina, all basically honoring this individual who, before he was a mercenary for the Spanish crown, was a slave trader for the Portuguese.
And what about South America? Is there a difference between the way Native Americans are treated in South America today than the way they are here in the United States?
Well, early on, of course, the Spanish and the Portuguese were as imperialist and colonialist against the native populations in South America as we were today. But they've advanced very much. Evo Morales is the Aymara Indian.